He's just too good for you. He's just too good for you. So I said to him, well, the only way we can win, mate, is go out there and beat them. That proves we're better than them. He was disgusted by it. Seeing a young person's face at Christmas when they got something that Santa's give them is just like, and you miss that, I miss that lots of times because of football. And she's looking at him and she's just smiling. And he's got his cheeky face around her, and it was just totally how I want to remember him. And I just put back together.
Ian Holloway, thank you very much for joining us. How are you?
Very good, thank you very much.
Cheers, welcome to the Harlequin, Joe's favourite pub.
Sorry, I got a new tipple because trying to lose weight.
Oh, okay, I was going to ask about the health kick, just that, is it?
Well, no, it is. It's I'm 59 and my dad died at 59, so I'm like paranoid at the moment. Hopefully I can get to 60 and the weight just comes on and you don't realise what's in these things, and I like my food so much that I've got to stop doing what you're doing.
One or the other, right?
I can smell it. Oh, it's lovely.
Showing a lot of restraint. You've got a book out called How to Be a Football Manager. So what's the secret?
Well, it's a privilege to start with, and it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, the title, really, but I've gathered so many wonderful times in my life, and I felt it would be quite a shame if I don't tell people how I feel about it. I sit there and watch managers getting a stick and getting sacked left, right and centre, and I find, well, I know how he feels. And do you know what? The game's expanding so quickly with young girls being able to be professionals and play as well as the ladies did to win us the European title. So I just thought, why don't I put it down and get it out there and try and get some managers a little bit more respect and also help people as well. So, but you know, I know that my great-grandchildren can know who I am. And I think this illustrates who I am, and it also is brutally honest about what I feel I got wrong and how not to do it as well. So, you know, it's more than just this is how you be, you know, like a robot's book of how to be a manager. It's also how I did it, and some life lessons in there that I believe anyone might, whatever you do, might help you moving forward. So hopefully, I know it's out there now. The hardest thing I've ever done is read it out myself for the audio book. Oh my God. The fellow went, stop, do it again, you're useless, that's rubbish, oh my God. But I managed to get through it, you know, and so my great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren can buy that and still hear my voice. Why I'm saying that, my dad died when I was 25, I'm now 59. I've had longer on this planet without him, and I can't remember what his voice sounds like, and it upset me to this day. So I know my offspring, whether they like it or not, they can hear exactly what I sound like.
Yeah, and it is brutally honest, as you say, and your personality definitely does come through. And
well, thank you. The ghostwriter deserves a pat on it. His ears were bleeding at the end of it all. I talked to him and talked at him and talked at him, and he's managed to make it sound even better than I am, really. So well done. Thank you.
I see him. You mentioned about how managers get stick all the time, and you want to kind of give them some credit almost. It's kind of a thankless job at times, isn't it? Unless you're constantly winning. So what is the hardest part of being a football manager that a lot of fans might not realise?
Well, there's more than one hard thing. You know, the qualifications you need, the written qualifications, you go and you have courses by the FA, but really on top of that, you need to be a psychiatrist, psychologist, a fitness guru. You need to marriage counsel guidance expert, and someone who can deal with depressions, you know, because some of my players have had so many problems that, you know, what you need is to get them to trust you, tell you what they're worried about and how it's causing, and then you can take that away so they can take the weight off their shoulders and go out and do what you're going to pay them to do, which is hopefully play football. So, you know, you need a lifetime of empathy to be able to help anybody, and your duty of care goes way beyond just what they do on a pitch. So it's really fascinating job that's grossly underestimated, and people buy a computer game called I'm going to be a manager, and they can buy Ronaldo and the other team's got one as well. I mean, what are they, clones or what? I just don't understand how that works, you know?
Everybody thinks they can do it, right?
Everybody thinks they can do it, but, you know, all I'm trying to say is that you have the benefit of hindsight. In other words, the game happens. The opposition's outplay your team. You don't want them to. I've never put a team out there that I thought was going to lose, and I never put a team out there to draw. I want to win every game, but you don't know that player is going to forget what you told them during the week and then have such a bad day that you lose. But then you can't come in and blame him. So, oh my God, you know, the whole thing, life, it's about dealing with yourself. If you can deal with yourself first and be happy with who you are and you know where you stand, even with yourself, like, am I going to have a drink today? No, I'm not, no. And trust that and not weaken. Brilliant. You can then go and help someone else, can't you? But we've got to all deal with ourselves first. So, you know, half the problem is being happy with who you are, knowing you're comfortable in your own skin before you can go and help someone else. And, you know, I've realised all of this by having the privilege of being a football manager, you know?
Yeah, the book focuses a lot in the early chapters about the mental side of the game, especially bringing everybody together and making sure that they're all buying into your ideas. Because if there's any reluctance there, then it's going to be very difficult to achieve anything. Did you ever have that at a club where a certain group of players were maybe reluctant to buy into what you wanted them to do because it was too much change or something like that?
Absolutely, yeah, because it didn't suit them and I had to change what I was doing. They'd done something totally different and they wanted to keep doing it. They didn't want to hear what I was saying because they didn't want their last manager to leave, and I had to quickly go back to what they were doing and say, okay, no problem, because you're brilliant at it.
I'm going to connect the dots here and say it was Palace, right?
It was Palace, yeah. And not being funny, if I wouldn't have been like that, I probably wouldn't have been able to get them up. Because we were losing, and we were losing trying to do what I thought was right, and it didn't suit them.
It takes a lot of humility as a manager to do that, right? And kind of adapt your approach to suit the players.
Yeah, it also took a warning from my chairman to say, you realise the pain's going to be horrible if you don't do this. So, you know, these are the facts that are hidden, you know, and when I went back to where they were comfortable, I believe they were almost invincible at that time. We lost our best striker, Glenn Murray, in the first leg of the semi-final and still beat our arch rivals 2-0 away from home to get us to Wembley, you know, and wow. But like, again, it's okay what I thought, and I was charged with playing a nicer style of football. You know, when I first got the job, yeah. So in the end, it changed to, well, what's wrong with a draw? Why are you trying to win all the time? Why are you trying to, whoa, hold on then, hang on then, I'll reverse, no problem. But I realised in that job, it wasn't about me. I should have known it wasn't about me. It's about them. And as a coach, really, all the time, I'm looking straight at the camera now, because really, if you're coaching and you're making it about you, then you're getting it totally wrong. It's all about them. They have to go out, they have to do it, and you have to help them and encourage them to do, and they are the ones who do the masterpiece if it comes off.
Yeah, I think there's a line in the book where you mention, I don't think this is verbatim, but you kind of mention that managers are temporary custodians passing through clubs, right? And the players and the fans and everything, the infrastructure there, that's the permanent part of it, and you have to realise that sometimes.
Well, that is it, yeah, but all I want people to realise is that we give it absolutely everything. We eat it, we sleep it, we drink it, we live it. It is our life and blood, because our families are relying on us to do that. So if any of them ever think, oh, he don't care, look at him, I've heard it say, oh, he's not even showing emotion, look, he don't care. He does care, it's killing him, but he's trying to control himself so he don't get fined, or, you know, even Klopp and Pep Guardiola the other day, Klopp got sent off. I thought Pep should have as well. So if it's happening to them, they're getting that emotionally involved. God help everybody else. Do you know what I mean? But the better you do, the more expectation grows. So you can't really win.
That's one of my pet peeves when people accuse players or managers of not caring, because it's just never really true, surely.
Well, no, all I will say is all I ever asked any player that ever put a shirt on for me is, you have to earn that right. And I want you to imagine that you're a fan of this club and your gran is a fan of this club. How would they feel if they were given the chance to put that shirt on and run? Could you run like them? I don't care if you think you're the best player in the world, but I want you to run like them. If you don't, you're not going to get the honour of wearing it.
And that Palace team did, right? They were a unit. Now, you mentioned the playoffs in 12-13 and losing Murray. You know which story I'm going to ask about now.
Wow, is that your tummy or not? Get this man a sandwich! Or a toilet, whatever.
Well, speaking
that was me. That was my most embarrassing moment on Colin Murray's show. Oh my God, I had all of that going on. I left the mic on, went in the toilet, and oh my God, they thought I was pebble dashing the gaff.
Right,
Is that you again?
Sorry.
Come on, who is it?
Rough day.
You got to leave that in. That's just super.
We will leave it in. Don't worry. So, I mean, speaking of that sort of thing, poo-gate at the Amex. What actually happened? Because there are different versions of this story.
There's no different versions. We got off the bus, go into the dressing room, and in trap one, there was 3 traps, three toilets. In trap one, I went first in, and there was a hell of a pen and ink going on. Someone must have had a stomach like that. And not only was it on the floor, but it was all spread around and up the side of the pan and over the lid, you know, so we poo-gate. But the second I saw it, I smelt it first. I don't care who did it. What I'm saying, I didn't have to talk anymore. That was it. Done. Job done. And what I had to decide to do was use it to my advantage. So I sent my lads out on the pitch. Didn't really want them to get in there. And then I thought I played my cards absolutely superbly. Asked to be someone to clean it up. And I want to see your chairman. Because I could have said, come on in with the cameras, couldn't I? You know, how bad would that have been? I didn't. I thought, no, don't do that. That was my initial reaction, but no. So I went up very quietly, did it, and basically the one who it affected the most was Wilfried. So I said to him, Wilf, the only way we can win, mate, is go out there and beat them. That proves we're better than them. He was disgusted by it, and we all were, but listen, it was a terror. Whoever did it, we never know. And I've never accused anyone. The facts are, at a ground like that, they should have had it all locked up, and nobody should have ever been able to embarrass the football club like that. And that's what they did. And I thank them for it. Whoever did it helped us win that game.
Well, there is a theory from Aaron Wilbraham. He told a story once on a podcast that the kit man at Palace told the players that it was actually the Palace coach driver.
Why would he have spread it around if he was ill? It was, you could tell somebody had gloves on and had spread it right all up the seat and all around the seat. It was a deliberate way to try and sabotage us. But all I'm saying, Wilfried Zaha, I kept telling him, get inside your fullback. When someone's crossing outside, get inside your fullback, because he was sort of waiting out to get the ball and beat someone. I said, get in. So he'd have to come darting across the front of you as the ball's coming in from the other side. Have a look at his first goal. That's exactly what he did. At last, thanks Wilf, but he did it because he wanted to prove we were better than them.
It's one of the only headers he's ever scored, that, isn't it? He hated heading football.
His second one was unbelievable, breathtaking, fantastic. And I believe without the first one, without the confidence that he'd already got, he wouldn't have got that one. Right? Yeah. So, anyway, what I can say about it is that probably one of my most pleasing results ever.
Given the circumstances.
To go to our arch enemy, to their ground, when their manager clearly thought they'd already done it, when Glenn Murray was injured. I'll see you on Monday. Well, I'm sorry, that ain't how it works. Magnificent performance. Aaron Wilbraham stepped in, right, chased around, got the foot in, did all of this. Wow. And took Wilf's genius to actually start scoring. And then he got us the penalty in the final, which was never a dive.
Never a dive. No matter what Cassetti said.
Cassetti, the whole plan about what was wherever Cassetti goes, Wilf, you go and give Wilf the ball, because I knew he could leave him standing.
Is he one of the best players you've ever coached?
He is the best player with a football at his feet, and you say go and beat someone. By the way, Balassi was almost as good as that. Matt Phillips was almost as good as that, and Johnny Williams on his day was almost as good as that, and also Tom Ince. So I'm saying, and Callum McManaman, wow, aren't I lucky to have had all these wonderful people? So, but Wilf, he could dance with a ball, and he proved it in the dressing room one day where they put the music on, showed the gaffer, come on, and he's literally dancing, and he's got the ball at his feet and up here, and it was just a joy to watch. The kid's a genius, and he's wonderful with it, so I'm delighted how well he's doing. Look at him now, I think he's fantastic.
I could talk about Wilfried Zaha all day because I'm actually a Palace fan, but we need to do some other stories.
He's just too good for you. He's just too good for you.
The most fun I've ever had at Selhurst part of that. So there's a ton of anecdotes in this book, one of which explains that you once signed a player based not off a show reel on YouTube or a scouting report, but nightclub CCTV. Yeah. Explain. Had
a wonderful opportunity. Me and Gary Penrose, it's in the book, we worked so closely together. And we had this opportunity to take a fella on trial who was being let go by Heerenveen, who are a massive club. And Penny said to me, Ollie, he's played at least 50 times for him. There must be something wrong with him. I don't know what it is. I can't find anything out. But we can have a free look. I said, what do you mean? He said, we can sign him on a short deal and then take him once you've had a look at him. I went, oh, brilliant. We'll do it. So anyway, we get him over. He plays a couple of games, quite like him. And then all of a sudden, they go out at a right time. They were allowed out on a Saturday night, and Plymouth can be really quite violent sometimes. And unfortunately, on the Monday morning, I get a phone call from the chairman, can you come in? And we got a problem with our new signing, our loan signing. I went, okay, I'll come in. So the police are there, and they show me this footage, and there's no sound on it. So I'm watch two bouncers outside a nightclub. It's really weird because it was totally silent and it was in black and white. Thought it was like a film of some sort, you know, expecting Charlie Chaplin to come out. Anyway, out comes what I recognised as Sylvain Ebanks-Blake, who's my centre forward who I had from Man United. So he comes out, and then three fellas come out who look like they're not chasing him but after him, you know. And so he turns round and, you know, and then there's this little, and all of a sudden there's another fella comes out and stands in between him and them. Mm-hmm. And it was this, so said, new player I got. Mm-hmm. So he then starts to talk to him, you know. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I could see. So then Sylvain steps back, and I'm like, this is weird. He steps back, and all of a sudden, bop, bop, two punches, two of them are down. The other one takes a look at him and runs off. And then the bouncers eventually come in and grab my player by the arms, take him back in, and then they hand him over to the police a bit later on. So I'm watching it, I'm thinking, well, right. So the copper says to me, oh, what do you think? And I went, well, it looks to me like he's trying to protect, they started it. Oh no, I'm sorry, they're badly hurt. They might press charges. And I went, well, I might want to press charges, he might want to press charges, because they were the ones, and your bouncers did nothing. Why didn't they step in and help my player? And they went, well, I said, tell you what, you tell them that we might press charges, because I think he's done nothing wrong. Hopefully they're not badly hurt, but they shouldn't have been antagonising three people coming out chasing one person. I said, that don't look right to me. So anyway, the chairman's so shocked, off go the coppers, they take the film, and the chairman says, what do you think? I said, to be honest, mate, I've been looking for a centre-half who will protect his centre-forwards and do it. I said, why don't we sign him? I said, that ain't a problem to me. To me, that is a brave, strong centre-half. He went, well, I'm not sure about it. I said, let me ask the kid then. Let me ask him what happened. So I asked him, and he said, I was trying to protect my centre-forward. I didn't think he did anything wrong, so I tried to help him. I knew there would be trouble, so I got the first ones in.
And was he a good signing?
Absolutely fantastic. And guess what? He ended up marrying the chairman's daughter. Ain't a bad signing, is it?
It's not the only time you've signed a player based on unorthodox scouting, shall we say. There was a famous trialist who went on to have a pretty decent career, no? Recommended by a tea lady.
Well, yeah, these are some of the classics that people probably won't believe, but I was still a player here. And it is completely bizarre, but Viaris, who worked for us for years, I was an apprentice, and I got to being 25 at this time, so I knew well. And she told this fella to go in. She so excited. She was on holiday, and watching St. Blasey down in Cornwall, and said, "Oh, why don't you go up? I work for Bristol Rovers. Go up and have a trial." So he did, and he went, "Oh, Vi Harris has told me to come up." So we got him some kit. We're already out training. He put some kit on. He comes out, joins in the session, right? Not in the main session, but have a look at him. So Des Ballpin got some, and he ran over to Jerry in our session that we were doing. Jerry Francis said, "This kid's brilliant." Jerry went, "I'll bring him over then." Oh my God, we couldn't beat him. Another session on at the end of the training, oh my God. So we signed him on that. Absolutely unbelievable. Nigel Martin. Ended up selling him. Yeah, selling him two, I think it was a year and a half later, right, in Crystal Palace, the most expensive goalkeeper at that time, right, goes to Crystal Palace. We end up getting Brian Parkin, who was brilliant, but he ends up playing for England. What about that?
He must be one of the, probably the best player that you could take some credit for discovering, right?
Mate, I didn't discover him. Vi Harris did. So Vi, all the best to you in your memory. But oh my God, it's incredible. This is what I'm saying. It's more about fate, more about luck, and more about how much. I mean, Nigel came to us, and that's what he wanted to do. So it's never too late. He used to work in a local shop, stacking shelves in the co-op, and then all of a sudden he's next playing for England. So look at Righty as well. My God, found it in the Sunday League, and then ends up.
It was lower than non-league, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Ends up. Football, yeah. God, honestly, it's incredible, isn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? So never give up. Always keep believing.
One of my favourite parts of the book is all the stories about pre-season, which sounds like an absolute nightmare for a manager.
It's a living hell for players.
The chapter begins. I'm going to read out a quote. Electronic tags, air and sea rescue helicopters searching for my players, and suspected fugitives on the run. Now, I was going to say, which of these stories do you want to tell first? But that's all one story, isn't it?
Story, yeah. It's hard to believe, but it is. When we were in a place that the lads renamed RAF Kinloss, and it started with an F, and it sounded like Kinlost, because there was nothing up there. And the whole day, I'm not knocking it, but in the morning it was sort of slightly grey. And on a night it didn't really get dark, so the whole day is grey up there, and they hated it because we were working so hard, and they had nowhere to go. They couldn't really celebrate anything, but their idea of training was slightly different than mine, and they thought it would be better, so it was orienteering. Mm-hmm. They decided that they had we had to run a certain amount of time around the lads out to see if they were clever and get together, and this is what we do with our lot. And I went, no, I'm not sure. They went, go on, let us do it. So. But what they didn't realise is I had someone with a tag on his leg, and I had to go to the police to tell him that because he was suspected of doing something very badly wrong, but he didn't and got off in the end. But, I haven't mentioned him in the book, but it was quite frightening, really. He promised me he hadn't do it, so I said, you got to come with us. And anyway, I was supposed to be looking after him every minute of every day and taking him at 5 o'clock to the police station to sign in and then come back. Mark Bircham and Kevin Gallen had run off and changed the second lot of coordinates. So everybody got to the first one, and then they didn't get to the next one. So they couldn't find. Birch and Kevin Gallen come back within about an hour, and they'd won, but everybody else was still out there.
Just
lost because they cheated and changed. They didn't tell me they'd done it, but oh my God, it was horrendous. So in the end, everybody's back, bar this one lad it was to time with, and I couldn't get him to the police. So obviously it was like, oh my, and we got a phone call. We're all out there looking, and we get a phone call from a local resident saying, I just saw 2 lads climb over my fence, run. They got QPR kit on. Have you lost anybody? So anyway, it was so far away from where I was, so far off the beaten track that the Air and Sea Rescue had picked, and this is nearly 5 hours into what should have taken about an hour and a half. And it was like terrifying. It was getting dark and almost real grey rather than just grey. Yeah. And then before you know it, the helicopter rang us. Oh, we got them, because we're all over to try and get, my God. And I took them to the police station, signed in a lot later, and then promised them that I wouldn't do anything like that. But oh my God, it's absolutely mental, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, footballers can't resist a prank, it seems.
Well, they didn't admit it.
Right.
They never admitted they changed till 2 years after, because I was that fuming. But because they knew I was fuming, they found it funny, and I was taking it out on the RAF people. Right. I'm never doing that again, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, but they went somewhere, I thought, no, you idiots, blah, blah. It was them two. Yeah. I nearly killed him when he first told me, Birch.
Not surprised.
But it was so strange that they would win.
Yeah.
Honestly, because there's no long distance running. That's what it was all about.
Yeah.
You know, people we couldn't find in the end, they would have outrun them by a mile. But we're cleverer than them. No, they cheated that.
Another pre-season story in the book involves a trip to Ibiza. Now, it seems obvious, no?
No.
Good idea, bad idea.
No. It seems. Look, my fears were this is a terrible, terrible idea. I was reassured that it's a training complex as well. It's not in the town. It was right in the town. There was an AstroTurf pitch that was bubbling up on the sides. You couldn't have a five-a-side on it, let alone, it's a bit like the old Talk Sport building. They had little five-a-side courts outside. It was like one of them, and it was just terrible condition. I wouldn't have run a dog on it. So all we did was run them along the beach, and that was it. But that ain't pre-season training. And everybody else was having a laugh and drinking, and hey, look at you lot. And it was terrible. And then we had some games that were violent. And it's the last thing you need. And oh my God, it was horrendous.
What kind of violence are we talking? Player scraps?
No. Paul Furlong is a great, wonderful bloke, but he's very physical. And his first tackle on anyone, normally in any sort of game, he leaves it on you, right? Because he knows they're going to kick him everywhere. So he lets you have one. And he did that to this game, and then it all kicked off. And I'd signed Tommy Docherty from Bristol City, who got a bit of a flare-up problem, a bit of a red mist problem. So he tries to protect Paul Furlong. And so 5 minutes into a pre-season friendly, there's a massive scrap going on. And then that leads from the pitch. And I'm saying, calm down, lads, what's going on? Don't want to get any injury. And then it's fighting in the stands because they're all absolutely gay-like. Mate, it was a nightmare from start to finish.
Fans of the same team fighting each other? Or with the
it was our fans who came over, right? QPR fans and Ibiza fans, and they sort of wanted to bring it on. And it was an absolute living, breathing nightmare. We won the first game 2-0. That took us into the final, which was against Coventry City, right? So, I mean, the last thing you want to do, they're in our division, the last thing you want to do is really be like this. But my new owners, Palladini, he was on the phone, we got to win this, and do you know what I mean? At the end of it all, another fight broke out. We were 2-0 down. I had to get on the mic, please calm down, come on lads, and gave a reason, and we won 3-2. And then in the end, Gianni Palladini's dancing around with, it looked just like the European Cup, you know what I mean? So he's on the phone telling the investors, we've just won a cup, and then the handle fell off. I mean, come on.
They got it
Seriously,
got it from one of those shops that fixes shoes or something.
It was a joke. Like a Mickey Mouse cup it was, but oh my God. What could you... I never ever went back there anyway, not even to have a holiday, because everybody was... the people you're running past in the morning, it's a party island, isn't it? Yeah. And I was convinced that someone wasn't lying to me, but oh my God.
That culture's changed, maybe not among fans, but definitely among players, right? That culture's changed over the course of your career. They're not so keen to get on the booze anymore. No,
they still want a night out if you've worked really, really hard, So at the end of any pre-season, I let them have the last night to themselves if they've behaved properly. And, I asked the senior ones to look after the younger ones, but in some clubs you can't do that because they might be only 17, so you can't let them go out. And it's all about, again, in here, it's all about creating an environment where it's great, and whatever hurts, we take it on the chin and we go again. And some of the runs that I put them through was, you almost have to be a non-human to do them, and what you'll be amazed what you can achieve if you put your mind to it, and then you all do it, and you get through it. Once you've done it, you feel it's a bit like a tattoo. If you have a tattoo, it hurts like hell, and then you go, oh my God, look at that, and that's fantastic. Only if it's a good one. But you get what I mean. It's like a passage. You earn the right to, and I feel mentalities are built on that pain threshold, what you put them through, and you have to go through it and then drag them through even more than they even thought possible. Once you get that, and hills are the thing, resistance is absolutely makes people want to give in. So I always found an unbelievable hill. Honestly, unbelievable hill, and then you go down it, you go up it, up and again, go on, and again, and then If you, that's not fast enough, it's not as fast as your first time, do it again, and what? So they want to kill me in the end, but they're doing it, you know? And
because they know it's going to be worth it.
At the end of the day, yeah, and I take them just to the limit, then past it, and if everybody's throwing up by the end of it, I know I've got, do you know what I mean? You know? But I could do it myself and not throw up, so they hated that.
Yeah, it's a bit embarrassing for them, isn't it?
Well, it was, but I at the end of the day, I knew
You've got to get them to that
level. I was that sort of dog that I had to carry the piano on the pitch, put it down for Ray Wilkins to play it, because I knew I was a breaker-upper and let him do the passing. It's not a problem. As long as you know your strengths, then fine. But, you know, they had to go through that right, and everybody, even if you're my best player, you had to work twice as hard as you ever thought you could to play for me, otherwise I wouldn't have you.
Such a big part of the job, obviously pre-season like we've just spoken about, but also like basically all year round is travelling, right? And it just eats into so much time. Yeah, especially
we're miles away from anybody down there.
Did you have to go to Carlisle while you were playing? That's the longest trip.
No, I don't think I did, but we went to Sunderland, but I got us a flight, which was great.
How does that amount of travel like affect family life as a football manager?
It's horrific. I got a whole section in there where I go mental about Christmas, because to me, seeing a young person's face at Christmas when they got something that Santa's give them is just like, and you miss that. I miss that lots of times because of football, you know. And I've always been an advocate to have a Christmas break. Maybe people won't like it, but I'm sorry. I miss so many of my own kids' Christmases trying to do my job so I could help them in their life. It still hurts now. I'd have a break every year, and if you like going on a Boxing Day, it used to be local derbies. It's not anymore. You know, I was working at Millwall and we had Norwich away. How is? I mean, what is that on a Christmas? It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, and we lost. I think it was 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, whatever it was. But it wasn't because I hadn't prepared us right. It was just like, you know, none of it makes sense. Probably the cost of police to police a local derby at that time would have been a lot more expensive, so they changed it. It don't make sense.
You mentioned your daughters there, and you write in the book about how you raised 3 deaf daughters. Yeah. That must have been quite the challenge for you and your wife to begin with. Yeah,
we didn't understand what losing that sense meant. And for the first 16 months, our daughters, all they got from us was, well, they can't hear, we didn't know. So, do you know what I mean? In the end, we started using sign language, basic sign language to help them, and it unlocked them to us. And when our next daughter came along, a year later, she was deaf, so we were already signing. And, you know, so my advice to anybody with a deaf child is, you know, their hearing isn't perfect. So get their eyes tested, and if their eyes are perfect, teach them a visual language, because they'll learn that one, and then they'll add the new English words that are going to be so difficult to get from. Yeah. And our daughter's proof of that. First 2 haven't got any exams. They had 16 months of no information at that vital age. The third one, who came along to us, we were already assigning family. Very basic, but we were assigning family. She got 9 GCSEs and 3 A-levels. And her sisters are not as clever as her, not their fault, because they missed out on, you get one chance to educate your children, and we didn't know how to do it. But luckily for us, we realised that we brought in some deaf people and friends who helped us, and even their behaviour, the frustration they had was caused because the deaf way isn't that way. With my son, if I raise my, oi, he would, hang on, where you do that with a deaf person, they don't get any difference, do they? Yeah. What you have to do with them is like ignore them, and like you're not having it. And oh my God, these people taught us how to do it. And you know, I have benefited so much from seeing that marvel of how every other sense that you've got raises, and it's almost a gift that they've got that we haven't. Because oh my God, it's making me all emotional now. But I had all these worries of what and they're wonderful, beautiful ladies who've got their own children. We've got 7 grandchildren, 4 boys, 3 girls, and 1 deaf grandson. and the others are hearing. So, you know, and as a family, it's just marvellous. All the hearing one sign, and the little 14-month-old Finn, oh, he's so advanced, you would not believe what he's doing. You know, you're reading him his book and we're showing him things, and if he wants that page turn and he can't do it, he just gets your hand to change it over. It's just unbelievable. You know, and then he'll grab your hand and take you to the cupboard where all the crisps are, so you know what he wants. It's amazing. He's only 14 months. He's been doing it since he's 10 months. Honestly, honestly, please, it's so. I have lived through this, and my wife handled it so brilliantly that there's myths out there. Do you know what I mean? And oh my God, deaf children. Some of them some of them are taught to lip read and English all the time. They don't get their own basic language, which they should do. And then they get lost with who they are, because really these don't work. So what's wrong with a visual language? And it's such a wonderful language that hearing children, when they're babies, you could teach them that, and they would tell you that their tummy hurts or they've done a poo, and it's when they're 10 months old. They could toddle off and get you your white training shoes from under the bed, right? And my little girl went and did that, and she was only 10 months. And I had loads of different trainers under there. It wasn't a coincidence, it was amazing. So we have all sorts of secrets that I hope people understand, that through my life so far, everything I'm spilling out is some secrets that I know that I wish I knew before I started everything, that would have been so much easier. Yeah. And I had all these worries about my beautiful daughters, and would they do this and would they do that, and I got one to tell you that's not in there. We went to the Maldives one day. I really saved up a lot of money and paid for us to go, and it was so gorgeous and so beautiful. And I had a tear on my eye. We were walking back to the place, and my little daughter sort of went, she's only about 8, and she went, "What's wrong?" I went, "Oh, you can't hear the waves on you can't hear that." And she went, "Oh yeah, but can you see the diamonds dancing on the water?" Wow. So I stopped thinking like I did, and I looked over, and oh my gosh, exactly what I looked like. And we were both hugging, and you know, "Don't worry, Dad, I'm deaf." And you know, wow, it's just different. Oh my God, yeah. I moved now. You know what I mean? And because you want to provide and you take everything away, you don't realise what they can teach you. Yeah. So I had no worry at all. You know, it's like doing a jigsaw puzzle with no picture on the box. They're wonderful, and I'm proud of them, and I want the world to know that if you don't worry, they'll be fine. Yeah. But do this, because it makes it easier.
I suppose it just goes to show that maybe everybody should learn sign language as like a default at school. Yeah.
I mentioned the marvellous teacher called Mabel Davis in the book, right? She was the headmistress. She went deaf, but she could sign, and she had, like, these don't work, but this does. And she had a picture of her brain on the wall. So she said, "I'm going to get to you, because this works, you understand? Right? These might not, so what? This does, come on." And she wanted them, and she wanted her teachers to change, to make sure that every one of my daughters, even my identical twins, were getting what they need. And they're all different, right? British Sign Language, we don't say anything, no sign support, you just talk with your hands, right? One of my daughters needs that all the time. Right. Yeah? Sign supported English, one daughter's got, and the other daughter can do all of it. Right? So each one of them, these identical twins here, they were totally different, though they were identical twins. So each teacher learned what each daughter needed. That's why they were, you know, that's why they who they are now. So, wow. And 2 of my daughters have got cochlear implants because they wanted it, and one of them hasn't. May as well put carrots in my ear, Dad. I can, it's no good, right? But the other 2 needed it and wanted it and have benefited from it. So, you know, it's marvellous. You know?
The importance of having a good mentor early in life, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's my wife.
Yeah.
Honestly, absolutely fantastic. I'm so lucky.
I also wanted to talk about your passion for art and painting outside of football. I've seen some photos and it's quite incredible. So where did that passion come from? And is it purely for your own personal joy, or are you looking to turn it into a kind of side?
I'd love to sit on my ass at home, get some commissions, and do one-offs for people of something famous. Or I love studying a picture and doing it for someone, portraits or people or action, or even someone riding a horse or whatever it is. If it's your thing, I believe I can make it look like you, and when I'm gone, it might be worth something. But I don't want to do them, print them out so loads of people can have them. I'd rather do totally and utterly individual, and I never do the same one twice.
Yeah, unique.
Yeah. So I believe I would love to do that, right? And then I'm the only person who's judging it, and if you gave me the subject, and if you don't like it, I'll do another one until you like it, right? So then we bin all the others. So you have a one-off. So when I'm gone, you look at it, Ian Holloway did that, right? And if you're happy with it, I'm made up. I need some money, obviously, all right? And in the end, I think what you've just got from me, the minute I peg it and I'm out of here, that might be worth something, because you've got a one-off, total one-off that I've done.
Well, maybe I'll be in touch for a commission.
Well,
I haven't started charging yet because I don't know what to charge, but the truth is, at this moment in time, I can do something that I'm actually almost happy with. For my life up until now, it's never been good enough. There's always something wrong with that picture I'm looking at, always. But recently, I'm going, do you know what? I quite like that, that's all right. Oh, that's all right. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, so I know I've changed, but really it's about leaving you with something that means a lot to you, and you'll probably like it a lot more than I will anyway, so happy days. But I get so much joy out of doing it.
Is there a piece you're particularly proud of that you've done?
Yeah, it's in my house, and it's of my mum and my dad when they got married, two little separate ones, and I did them at total different times, and I left one in a drawer and I thought, I hate that, that's crap. And I did one of my dad and I thought, oh wow, yeah, it's come out all right. Then I got the other one out of my mum and I thought, oh, do you know what? I quite like that now. And I finished that off, so they're in two different mediums, right? One's with a total pencil, the other's with a chalk and charcoal. But when I put them together, to try and do both of them on one drawing was almost impossible because I was never happy with. But I did one, then I did another, and oh my God, I put it together, it's just like their wedding photo. And then there's one where my dad is hugging my mum, and when he's a lot older, and she's looking at him, and she's just smiling, and he's got his cheeky face around her, like, and it was just totally how I want to remember him. And I just put back together. After Mum passed away, she lived another 30 odd years without him and never went out with anyone else, didn't even want to. She was just marvellous, loved her grandchildren. So I feel really privileged to have been able to do what I loved the best, which was PE and art. The rest of my school, I wanted to go, well, woodwork I really liked as well, but I said that to someone once, I really like wood, and they started laughing. What's the matter with you? Made it into a joke. But honestly, painting is so different to just pushing a bit harder or getting a pencil that, so you got the tones and I'm amazed by light, and I'm amazed by things. I'm amazed by what people call art, and I've always been totally and utterly into it. And as I say, my dad wanted me to be a player, and I spent most of my years when everybody else was going out, sat in my bedroom drawing, listening to my music, bit of George Benson and all that. My brother put me into Tamla Motown instead of my era, and I loved it. And so I just doodle, and then Bristol Rovers actually had them when I was apprentice there. They put some of them as program covers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but now I'm trying to use colour. It's a lot more difficult. I don't find it as... But my wife loves it as well. She's never had an art lesson in her life, and hers are absolutely fantastic. She doesn't even copy anything. She just does... Bang, wallop. Brilliant. But we do that, and then we critique each other's. on a night with the fire going, and you know, we found it quite fun because she could be brutal. Oh, that's crap! Look at his ear. That's just awful. That don't look like him.
Savage.
I did a Brian Clough, and she said that looks more like Tony Pulis than Brian Clough. And to me, I stepped back and it did, you know. But that also comes from a friend I met a long time ago called Peter Riley. I'm at Blackpool and everything's serious, and I walk into this pub. We've just got promoted, and I brought all my family up and I'm renting because I couldn't live in Blackpool. I literally couldn't go out. People were all over me. It was like, oh wow. So we moved to Burnley. So we're renting this place, Pendle Hill, where all the witches were burnt. And my wife said, can't believe I'm back here. Anyway, we go in the pub and this fella shouts out, "Oi, Stanley, call that a suit?" And I went, "Oh, you must be Riley, the blind painter," because he had paintings all over the wall. Yeah. And he just sat in his room and did them. And, you know, people would buy them and all that. I went, "You did that one, do you like them?" He went, "I don't bloody care, lad, I like them." So tell you what, I'll teach you. So without us knowing, he goes and buys 2 can wine. And over we go over his house on a Friday, and I'll do that. And he cooked us a meal, give us a bottle of wine between us, because we were both on the sauce at the time. And wow, what a man. Absolutely unbelievable, you know, and really spiked us into, oh my God, the colour and the tone and everything. Oh, it's just amazing. So I have lived and breathed that side of things. And what is art? I mean, we could go on forever, couldn't we? I come from Bristol, and Banksy, I don't even know who he is, but some of the things he's done is, you know, I went to Francis Bacon's show in London. Oh my God, weird, but amazing. You know? Yeah. And that could be just art, couldn't it?
It could. I guess anything's art.
You know what I mean? I know it's a rubber plant, but that could be art, couldn't it? You know?
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a beautiful note to end on. So thank you very much for your time, and good luck with the book.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
I'm open for commissions. Your cats, your dogs, your family, anything.
Magic.
Do it
Thank
all.
You very much.